Welcome back, friends. Today, we're talking about one of the most urgent topics of our time, climate change. Most of the time, when we hear about climate change, we think of carbon emissions, fossil fuels, melting ice, or rising seas. And yes, all of these are true and critical. But here's something people don't always think about. Wars and conflicts also change the climate. Pretty surprising, right? Imagine not only the human tragedy of war, but also the invisible scars it leaves on the air, the soil, and even the regional climate. So, in this episode, let's break it down. The usual causes of climate change, and then the hidden role of wars, with a focus on the Middle East, and, yes, even the war in Gaza. First, the basics. Why is Earth's climate changing? Burning fossil fuels, coal, oil, gas. These release carbon dioxide, the main greenhouse gas. Deforestation. Cutting down forests means fewer trees to absorb CO2. Industrial agriculture. Methane from cows, fertilizers, and land use. Rapid urbanization, more concrete, less green, trapping heat in cities. The result? Rising global temperatures, melting glaciers, stronger storms, and more droughts. That's the classic story. But the story doesn't end there. Now, here's the part most people don't talk about. Wars also have environmental costs. Burning cities, destroyed infrastructure, and constant bombing release massive amounts of carbon into the air. Explosions create toxic particles that pollute the atmosphere. Oil fields set on fire. Remember Kuwait in 1991? The sky turned black. Temperatures dropped locally, and soot traveled across continents. War also destroys farmland, cuts trees, poisons water, which means less resilience against climate change. So war doesn't just kill people, it kills the environment too, and sometimes changes the local climate balance. Now, let's zoom in to the Middle East. This region is already one of the most climate-vulnerable places on Earth. Think about it. Hot deserts, scarce water, and extreme heat waves. Climate change is expected to make it even hotter, drier, and more unstable. And in the middle of all this, wars and conflicts. They make the region even weaker in the face of climate threats. Imagine trying to adapt to rising heat when your cities are being bombed, when your infrastructure is collapsing. Let's talk about Gaza as a clear example. The war there is not only a humanitarian disaster, but also an environmental one. Bombing has released huge amounts of dust, toxic chemicals, and greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. Fuel shortages mean people burn plastic or wood for energy, creating dangerous pollution. Water infrastructure is destroyed, leading to sewage leaking into the sea, poisoning the environment and affecting nearby regions. Agricultural lands have been damaged, reducing the green cover that normally absorbs CO2. And here's the bigger picture. The Middle East is already heating up faster than the global average. When war adds destruction on top of that, the region's ability to adapt to climate change becomes even weaker. In simple words, war accelerates climate vulnerability. So, why should we care about the link between war and climate change? Because it shows us something important. Climate change is not just about science, numbers, or graphs. It's about politics, justice, and survival. Communities like Gaza or other war-torn places are hit twice. Once by the violence of conflict, and again by the silent violence of climate change. Imagine trying to rebuild your life while also dealing with
poisoned air, ruined soil, and rising temperatures. That's the hidden tragedy. So today we've seen the usual causes of climate change: fossil fuels, deforestation, industrialization; the hidden role of wars in making climate change worse; and how the Middle East, and especially Gaza, shows this tragic connection. The message? If we want to fight climate change, we must also fight war, because peace isn't only about stopping violence, it's also about healing the Earth. Remember this: climate change is global, but its impact is local, and sometimes the most fragile places pay the highest price.